So I was just going to say we made a big-time roster move yesterday, added a new addition to the Viking family, and most important, my family. Had my first grandchild, my grandson. Everybody's healthy, and it's a real exciting moment for me, and my family. So with that, I open it up for questions.
Did you get any advice from Zim on being a grandpa?
No, I didn't. I just, trying to go through the experience on my own and feel it. It was amazing to hold him in my arms. When you're a dad and you hold your son for the first time, it's an unbelievable feeling. But it was unreal to hold your grandson in your hand. So I'll never forget it, and I'll cherish it forever. And I got a chance to spend some time with him yesterday evening too. So he's going to be a big-time spoiled kid. I'll tell the world that already. So there's no doubt about that.
Perfect timing to do it on an off day.
Yeah, we worked out pretty good. We were worried, that my son wouldn't be able to go to the game last week, and worked out good. Worked out great.
Well, switching to the defensive line rotation, naturally. But just how did you feel like that went? It seemed like there was just a lot of different packages that you used. What did you feel like the results were?
Oh, I thought the rotation part of it worked out very well. I mean, after the game, the only thing that I looked at it, I probably put, too many plays on Danielle. I probably should have rotated him a little bit more. But I thought the rest of the group, it worked out well, really well. I probably should have had Steven play about another 10 plays. He did a really good job when he was out there. But I felt real good about the rotation. I think we were able to keep the two big fellas fresh. And, having, Griff and Sheldon and Amon go in the game helped them out. So, the rotation part of it I was very pleased with.
How did Everson handle playing a little bit more of a role there?
Oh, I thought he did a good job. He missed the one sack. He's clean in the backfield, and instead of reaching for him, he should have ran through him. I thought he had some, especially on Mike's second sack. Mike's second sack, it was old patented Griff rush there that helped Mike. Mike beat the guy clean, but Griff did a great job of collapsing the pocket from that side so the quarterback had nowhere to escape, because the quarterback saw Mike coming clean up the middle. And if it wasn't for what Griff did on that edge, he would have been able to get outside of Mike and probably run away from him. So I was real encouraged to see that from Everson.
When Mike puts that on film in a regular season game, and what kind of residuals might you expect from other teams having to prepare for and account for him too as they go about trying to figure out the rest of the D-line?
Well, I think it always helps you when you can get quick inside pressure, because that's the fastest route to the quarterback, is right up the middle. And hopefully he's going to take this and build upon it. I told you guys way back at the beginning, after I saw him rush the first time, that, he can rush. And don't you ever let anybody tell you that you can't. And hopefully, having a 2-sack day, and really it was close to 2.5 sacks, that he sees himself as a pass rusher too. And that's a big part of it. You've been a run stopper your whole life, and you start to think that that's just your value. And, I got to continue to get him to believe that his value is bigger than that, because he can do that. And he proved it on tape. I mean, those were quick wins. Those weren't like bull rushing, powering a rush guy back and then fall. Those were quick wins at the line of scrimmage. And it's been a while since I've had a D tackle that could do that. And so I just got to get him continue to build on that and believe that's a part of him and that's a part of his game.
I think on one of those sacks that he had, Danielle had 3 guys on him. Is that how you anticipate Michael getting his sacks, when all of the attention's going to shift to where Danielle is, and then allow him that quickness right at the line?
Well, I think, Courtney, I really, to be honest with you, I don't think it really was about D. It's more about, until you prove as a nose guard that they have to put 4 hands on you, they're going to believe that the center can hold him off, because most times he's just getting pushed back. And so what Mike did was take advantage of how most teams are going to block a nose tackle. When you got 2 defensive ends out there, usually what happens is the guard will put a hand on the nose and look out to the end, okay? And then he's going to leave the nose and go over and help that tackle with the end. So if your nose can win in there, now it creates that end to have a one-on-one with that tackle. And that's what happened, is the guard put a hand on Mike and went out to DJ. And Mike felt him leave, that we work on every day, and he worked a quick move and won. So the more he continues to put that on tape, the more it'll help our defensive ends out. And then to go back with your questions about Danielle, I tell the guys all the time, be careful what you wish for. When you wish that you want to be considered a dominant player, that's what you're going to get. I went through it with Everson. I went through it back in the day with John Randall. You're going to get, when people see you as an elite player, you're going to have to deal with 2. You're going to have to deal with 3. And when that happens, you got to accept it, fight through it, and say, hey, my teammates are going to help me. So the more other guys can step up, the least that they would have an opportunity to do that to him.
What did you see from Danielle, and why did you think it was maybe a little bit too much playing time for him?
Well, I just looked at the number of reps. I mean, condition-wise, he didn't look tired. There was none of that with him. He's in great shape. But I still think he's not all the way back to the D that I know. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think he played a bad game. He had 11 tackles. And I know everybody puts how they see defensive linemen based off sacks. And I tell you all the time, a D lineman's value is way more than sacks. He had 11 tackles in the game. He had 3 pressures and a sack. I mean, that's a productive day. But it was his first time playing in over a year. And I think as the game went on, he got more and more comfortable and more into the flow of the game. And playing D-line is not like riding a bike. You got to get out there. You got to experience it. Rushing the passer is a feel thing. You get into a groove. And I think you start to see it happening in the 3rd and 4th quarter of the game. So, he's going to be better this week than he was last week because he got to play.
I guess in contrast to the play that Courtney was talking about, on the play where Danielle did get the sack and they lined up a tight end against him, do you just salivate when you see them try to put a tight end on Danielle?
Yeah, I mean, you hope that happens, but usually what happens in that case is, it's like I was explaining how they block the nose and the end on the open side. Usually what happens over there to the tight end side is the tackle will put his hands on the 3 technique. And then once they get him stopped, he'll turn and run out and help that tight end with Danielle or any one of our ends. But I think it was Dalvin. Dalvin did a great job of powering up through the tackle so the tackle couldn't leave. He powered up to the tackle, so the tackle had to stay on Dalvin, and now that left D one-on-one with the tight end.
Andre, there was a play in that Cardinals game where Kyler Murray, rolls to almost to the right sideline, stops, rolls to the left almost, and then steps up, steps back, and then he completes a pass for a first down. How do you defend that?
You can't. He's a different animal, man. I mean, he's, there's nobody I could compare him to. He's a different animal. He's not only quick, but he's unbelievably fast, and he knows it. And so the best thing that we can do is try to do a great job of containing our edges, to try to keep him trapped in the pocket. But you see teams have him trapped in the pocket and he make a guy miss and still get outside. So that's the element of his game that makes him difficult to defend, because he has the ability to make you miss when you do have him trapped in there. And so the only thing that we can do is do the best job of trying to execute our rush plan, try to make him go where we want him to go and not where he wants to go. And those are the only thing that we can do to try to help us contain him and keep him in the pocket.
Are there different backside rules or ones that you have to really enforce more because you know that the backside becomes a front side like that?
Yeah, well, the backside end is always saying that if the quarterback starts to flush away from him, that he wants to stay high and keep contained. So when he wraps back around, he wraps into your face, okay? So that's always the rule that you have, okay? But the thing that you see him do is he'll reverse field and come back, and that end stays high, and he's got the speed to find that seam inside that guy and run, so that's the hard part. And as a D-line coach, there's 6 gaps that a quarterback can get out in pass protection. There's only 4 guys manning those gaps, So a quarterback that's a runner can really get out anytime that he wants to, because the guys that man those gaps in the run game, they're gone. They're back there in coverage. You see? So a running quarterback, when he comes to the line, he looks up and he sees, okay, there's the free gap right there. There's the free gap. So if I get in trouble, I know I can escape in this gap anytime that I want to. But we got to do a good job of changing up where that gap is, you know, off the snap. So it looks like it's here, but when I drop back, oh, they fill that gap up. Now I've got to find it. So that gives us another chance for somebody to come and get him.
There are more running quarterbacks in the league probably now. Do you feel like it's a little bit more normal to prepare for those type of guys, so you have a little bit better idea?
Yeah, so we got another one next week. We're going to have a bunch of them throughout the course of the season. But the thing that's different about him is his speed and his ability to make you miss. That's a total different other element. You know, you got quarterbacks that are good runners, that are good scramblers, you know, and they find an open seam. They got enough speed to hit it, but this guy can make you miss in space, and then his speed is outstanding.
It's like the closest thing we've seen to Mike Vick.
I think he's even different than Mike. You know, and I don't know if they had a race or anything like that, but you know, I said, to me, watching the tape, he looks like a video game. You know, and he's not real tall, and he doesn't have long legs, and his feet are moving so fast, like he looks like somebody hit the button, and he just looks like at a different speed than everybody else. To me, that's the element that just makes him different. And when the ball's in his hand, he's like a running back. He can make a move and make you miss. So that's the issue that he causes you.
Do you think they've given him more leeway to just make his decision? Right, he goes right to the line. I'm gonna throw it instead of running it. He just makes his own calls all the time. They put that kind of confidence in him to run the offense.
It looks like that from the first game. I can tell you this. I think there's times where he just says, I'm going to run with the ball. You know what I mean? I think there's times he drops back and there's no one else, the other 10 guys on the offense doesn't know that he's going to run with the ball, that he sees something and he just takes off with it and goes. You know, obviously he's got command of the offense because there's times last week, you know, where they did hurry up, you know, and he was calling the plays at the line, which I thought he did a good job with. But it looks like he has command of the offense.
Andre, what did you see from your run defense? Is there anything in the second half that you can take and improve upon?
Yeah, I thought the first half we were outstanding, you know, and, you know, then in the second half they ran a little bit different runs. And at the same time, we kind of changed up a little bit what we were doing front-wise, too. I think that was a combination of it. And we had a couple misfits in there on outside runs, which we're probably going to get more of because of the guys that we got playing in the middle. So we went back and made those corrections, you know, with the guys. And, you know, we just got to build on it and, you know, play 4 quarters in the run game the way we did the first half. I think they had 12 or 13 yards rushing at halftime or something like that. So the one thing about the run game, all it takes is, you know, 1 or 2 good long runs, and then it looks like it was a bad day. So you could have played, you know, you ran it 22 times. You could have ran 19 of the 20 great. And then the other ones, if they pop a big run on you, it makes it look like you had a bad day.
The Bengals seem to go after one of your corners. Is that because of bad technique, or he thought he had help and didn't have it, or what was that?
No, well, the one, he just turned the wrong way. You know, he was in good coverage, and if he'd have turned towards the ball, he probably would have intercepted it. You know, but he turned into the receiver, and so that's what got him in. That's what got him in bad position on that one. And then the one that I think the deep one, was it right before the half? Yeah, the deep one right before the half, we blitzed. You know, and he should have been off coverage and let the receiver come to him. In no way you're going to let a guy run by you, you know, at a 2-minute warning, and we're pressuring. So he lined up close to the line like it was a regular down blitz. He should have been off, and there's no way the guy should have ran by him. So both of those were technique errors, not lack of skill or talent. It was just technique errors on his part.
Is
that a veteran trying to gamble on a quicker throw against a blitz, or what
Could
was
have
he
been. I mean, I didn't ask him about that. You know, it could have been. You know, he's played in a lot of games, and he's pretty smart. You know, so he could have seen something to say, hey, he's going to run a slant, you know, or it's going to be a hitch, you know, and stopped his feet to drive on the ball. And, you know, so sometimes that happens.
If you're the coordinator, you have your preference in how you want corners defending receivers against certain routes. Sometimes do corners come with their own mindset that, you know, I'm expecting help on the inside as opposed to getting up on a guy?
Well, the coverage would dictate whether they know they got help or not. You know, sometimes we're in coverages where they don't have any help. You got that guy by yourself, you know, and then sometimes we got coverage where he knows I've got help over the top, or I've got help if he inside if he runs a quick slant, and so, you know, we make adjustments of how we line up based off of that. But sometimes when you have vets who've played in a lot of games, at almost at every position, you know, they have the ability they study, they look at formation tendencies and so on and so forth, split tendencies, and sometimes they guess. You know, he lines up in this position, you know, 90% of the time he's running a slant. Okay, well, I got a chance to pick this slant right out because I know it's coming, and I've been waiting the whole game to get this alignment. So sometimes that happens too. But they know based on the coverage call where their help is, whether they have it or they don't have help.
If officials are going to flag him for looking over that outside shoulder, like trying to go back and track where the ball is, like how do you adjust that? Because it kind of seems like that's a complete unfair disadvantage for corners.
Yeah, well, you know, he turned into the receiver, right?
The contact part.
Right, so when you turn into the receiver, you got a better chance, number one, of not seeing the ball and the receiver can see it, him catching it. And number two, the official throwing the flag for pass interference, okay? So what he should have done is turned this way into the receiver and had his body drifting the receiver, the backside of his body drifting the receiver out of bounds. So now he can see the ball, now he becomes the receiver.
Sure.
You know, so that's what got him in trouble. He covered him good. He just turned this way. Well, now I can't see where the ball is, and every reaction is off of this guy. And I learned way back in the day from when I was here with Randy Moss. Randy Moss would do that, and the DB would turn to Randy like this. Randy would wait for the ball to be right over the top of his head and just go stick his hands up and catch it. You know, and so that's when you had to change your technique of what you're teaching your DBs to do. Because back in the day, it used to be when his hands come up, go for the ball. Well, Randy changed the world because he would wait to the last second, and there was no way the guy could defend it at that time.
What did you like about Stevens' game in the snaps that he played? It seemed like he was getting off the ball pretty quick against the run.
Yeah, he was physical. That's the biggest thing. He was physical in the run game. He threw his body around. You know, he made some plays. You know, I was very pleased with the way, especially at the end of the game. You know, I gave him a lot of play at the end of the game, and he came in and he did a nice job.
He seemed to ignore Patrick Peterson all game. You think that'll change Sunday because of their familiarity with him? Yeah, and I don't know if that was by design. You know, I don't know if that was by design on their part or just happened to play out that way. But they know him. You know, they know the good and the bad about him. So you're probably going to see some ways that they know how to attack him because he's been there for so long. You know, so that works both ways. He knows them too. He knows their receivers. He knows their quarterback. He knows their head coach's thought process. So he's got some advantages on his side too. So it works both ways.